Hey, beautiful tribe. Is the two world split real? It's a question that I am continuously asked. So let me address it from a perspective of what I've found out through astral traveling and through some remote viewing, what the future timelines may possibly be. It's really important when we look at timelines that we fully understand that something that is being shown to the psychics does not always have to play out, because they often are bringing through information as a warning, as an alarm for the collective, to say, if we don't up level our consciousness, if we don't upgrade in some way, if we don't clear some dross and debris and wounds and shadow aspects of ourselves, if we don't have forgiveness, if we don't make amends, all of these concepts, when we're doing our inner transformation, if that doesn't come to play, then we will see in the external reality certain timelines will need to play themselves out that look quite destructive. So when a psychic goes in to do some remote viewing, some of the timelines are just not pretty. It is never meant to invoke fear. That's the opposite of what a true psychic is wishing to do. It's rather a way to say, pay attention, because if we don't, as a collective, start to sway our group thought forms in a new direction, then we may have to indeed play out some of these more dastardly agendas that the dark side has got in store for us. Because remember, they have a big playbook and they're just going through their playbook. Next one, next one, next one. What can they do to break the human spirit? What can they do to induce fear? How can they get a feed of loosh? If you haven't heard me talk about loosh before, that's all our lower vibratory emotions that they hook into as their fuel supply. So humans really have become a battery source for the parasites that are running this earth, and it feeds back into the astral, or the fourth dimension. Now, many people are already dwelling in fifth dimensional consciousness whilst having still this third dimensional experience. It sounds a little bit like a paradox, but if you consider that dimensions are not places, they're a state of awareness, it's a sphere of consciousness that you are invoking. So often we'll say that our next sphere of consciousness, if you're in the ascension life wave, is Jupiter. Is Jupiter a separate place, a planet? In some senses, yes. Can we be invoking that energy into Earth right now? Absolutely, we can. Different theories and different ways of looking at what we're moving into for those on the ascension pathway. Now, to be on the ascension pathway, you are doing all of those things that I just mentioned. You are really in a state of transmutation, moving your operating system from offline to online, or DNA, offline to online. You are alchemizing from lead to gold. It's another way of saying that you're moving from the caterpillar into the butterfly. We have all these analogies that keep pointing to the same thing of what that process is about. But it includes personal responsibility at the highest level. I am responsible for everything that I've attracted to myself. I'm on my own hero or heroine's journey, and I'm using all of that negativity and all of that darkness as a platform to spring, to grow, because a hero will never activate unless they have the ultimate opponent. And so those who are on this ascension pathway, whilst it's very, very challenging, and it is, they have made peace with the fact that this darkness must be coming at them in order to activate, in order to grow in consciousness. So you face the demon, you look it in the eye. You never want the devil or the demon hunting you or at your back. So it's only a path for the absolute courageous, the ones who are willing to do the research, to go down the rabbit holes, to find out about what this reality truly is about, to remember, put back member of your galactic nature or your star nature, who you are in a multidimensional space. Multidimensionality really should be like one of the main investigations for anyone on the ascension pathway, so that you know that you are having multi-dimensional, multi-aware experiences all concurrently, all at the same time. You can tap into yourself as an Andromedan queen. You can tap into yourself as a fairy. You can tap into yourself as even a malevolent entity who's creating chaos here, because it's all a feedback loop to yourself. You're within the whole spectrum of what is universal consciousness. You're all of it. So this is where you need to go to become multidimensional. You're also aware that you're having the parallel lifetime. So these are the sliding doors moments where you could have taken one path or the other. Say in the 3D, you took a certain path. You might have stayed in a relationship, for instance, but the other part of you that was going to get out of the relationship and didn't, that's still playing itself out as well. So that happens in the energy realm, in the astral. So you can tune into yourself in parallel lifetimes as well. So if you can imagine it, you're experiencing it, you're the creator of all of these multi-dimensional realities, and they're all intended for you to investigate, learn from, grow from, and also mainly to delight in. Once you see yourself as the optimum goddess consciousness, you know your eternal frequency. You're just curiously observing all of these experiences that you're having in every single part of the galaxy. So that's a really nice space to get yourself into. That's really when you know you're on an ascension pathway. You can fall out of that, of feeling like it's all perfect. Then the next moment you can be tearing out your hair and gnashing your teeth and in a state of angst. That's important too, because at that point you'll be in the transmutation process. You'll be experiencing through pain and limitation, again, who you are, the deeper aspects of your nature, investigating your soul until you rise again. So all of that is absolutely perfect. Now, it's a lot to deal with. Ascension sounds like, oh, that's really groovy. Of course, I want to be on the ascension train. Well, yes, where it ultimately will lead you into the fifth dimensional frequency bandwidth, pure unconditional love. Of course, it is exciting. It will be worth it, but there's many challenges along the way. So this is where we talk about the two-world split. We're going to therefore accept that there are souls on their particular continuum of their consciousness journey that are not activating at this time. They're just simply not ready. They need more experiences in that third dimensional construct, because a third dimensional construct will give them the necessary insights, lessons. And we say lessons not meaning that you're being punished by lessons, just investigations, like the mystery schools we're all a part of at one point in Atlantis or ancient Egypt, still going on in different star systems. They're all about lessons, investigations, consciousness. It's all about growth, expansion, moving from limitation to limitlessness. So some people just simply aren't ready for the progression from the third dimensional frequency bandwidth into the fifth dimensional frequency bandwidth. For those who are, you're bypassing through the fourth dimension. That's an energy realm. That's where you understand that you are certain avatar beings that come down through the dimensions and end up having this physical experience where you're in form and matter and you seem to look a certain way and have a certain personality and a certain name that you've been assigned to. But you're not just that. You are so much more than that. So you go up into the astral as one of your first port of calls and you start investigating who these characters are and what this energy is in the astral and who you can be in the astral as well, because there are less limitations there in the astral. I can go into the astral and I feel sometimes I'm like a ninja and I can backflip and I can slide and I can really serve it up to some of these darker frequencies and I can dismantle demon tech. I can do all sorts of things in the astral that I don't necessarily have the skills to do here in the third dimension, but there's a projection of myself that is creating this powerful, powerful way of shifting realities. And it does always filter down into the 3D. If you've followed any of what I've been doing for a while, you'll know that we often have in our astral groups, we often have the confirmation immediately of work we've done in the astral, and it comes into the third dimension. So too many to mention here in this video. So what I did find out in the astral, however, is there definitely is a two-world split at play. Whether that plays out or not, it doesn't really matter at this point. What's important is that we know it could happen and that we make peace with the possibility. What I was shown is that the galactics are supporting us via the humans who are moving into the astral and asking and requesting and wanting to shift out of this demonic reality, this matrix, dark matrix that we've been siphoned into, I guess. Is that the right word to say? Well, they're definitely siphoning us. They have genetically spliced us so that and mind controlled us and taxed us and fined us and digitized us and unitized us and poisoned us, and the list goes on of how they've brought us into their dark web and their matrix and how they continue to siphon us. So we certainly have been putting in huge requests. Anyone in the awakened community has been putting huge requests in to shift this. And so the galactics are responding because they can't act and interfere with our free will. And what I was shown in the astral is that there is actually a portal or a tunnel that is being constructed at the moment, which will act like a vortex that will draw souls into it and into the fifth dimensional frequency bandwidth. Don't always consider this as a physical thing that's happening. It could be energetic, or it could indeed actually be a physical construct. These are the things we don't know. These are the mysteries that go on when we're going through such an upgrade in consciousness. So that's what I was shown. They call it the Transcendental Highway, and it's absolutely beautiful what I saw, and it's in response for all of the prayers and all of the highest heart wishes that are coming from the awakened community who want to move out of the dark matrix. Now, for those who don't choose that, doesn't necessarily mean they want to take what the Hopi call the lower road. The Hopi talk about the two-world split, the higher road and the lower road. And they say we're at the 11th hour and we're running out of time. So, and many other indigenous cultures have predicted this time because we're at the end of the precession of equinoxes. It's an astrological shift. It's a galactic change that's going on for the celestial body of planet Earth, moving her into the fifth dimensional frequency bandwidth, and her inhabitants get to go if they choose it. You've got to choose it and you've got to do the work. You've got to be a frequency match or a vibrational match to that ascension gateway. So what I was shown for those who are taking the lower road, we don't have any judgment around that because it's perfect for what that soul needs. Those souls could possibly then be part of that apocalyptic type frequency, or those visions that we have. We've been shown through the movies. They're disclosing it. The dark side are disclosing it to us, where it literally becomes dog eat dog. We're already a little bit in a dog eat dog world, aren't we? I mean, but so amplify those kind of frequencies. Amplify. What do you get? The zombie apocalypse. I've even been shown cannibalism, and that really frightens people. I've spoken about that before in another video. People have had a full-on crack at me. It's like, how can you say that? You're inducing fear. No, I'm not inducing fear. I'm explaining what I've seen, what I've been shown. If you don't want to go down that pathway, then you better get to doing some inner work and, you know, really transforming into that loving, kind, benevolent, service to others person that you know that you actually are. Serve, speak, stand up to the dark masters, do whatever it takes, do meditations, invoke love, visualize new earth. There's so many ways that you can be adding to the frequency of love and joy and peace to make sure that you're going into that ascension transcendental highway. So for those going the other pathway, well, we're already seeing the fallout and the destruction of some of the choices that people have made. Again, we don't judge that. It's very harrowing. It's very upsetting to us as souls because we don't want to see anyone lose their life. But we have to accept that was the free will choice that they made, and that's some of the consequences anyway for many. Or it's going to be just ongoing health issues or being sterile for young women. It's, the list goes on. If that was the worst of it, in a way, still not great, but we could accept that. But this other timeline that I'm showing, where they're going to introduce, and they're already talking about it, the food shortages, and people won't have enough to eat. We're looking at the bug agenda as well. We've been shown that in the Astral. That's, you're already seeing, there was a ad recently where Fergie came out from the Black Eyed Peas, came out, and she was all seductively dressed, and she was pouring cockroach milk over herself. And, that was going to be the new thing, because we'd all have to drink cockroach milk because nothing else would be available. It's like, don't think I'm going to take that timeline, but hey, thanks for the offer. But no, I say no. And this is the thing. Awakened people just say, no, I don't consent. So it doesn't become part of their reality. For other people, they're so in fear. They're like, oh, is this what we're doing now? And they believe the idiot box, that's chirping out all of this information to them. And it's like, no, you don't have to drink cockroach milk. And there's not a possibility there could be a food shortage, because we could all just grow our own and have fruit trees in the streets, and we'd have enough to eat. Like, there's always a way to shift out the timeline that the dark side is wanting to introduce. But that timeline, if they succeed and certain souls want to follow them into that timeline, again, their free will choice. You can't make anyone right or wrong. It's what the soul needs to experience before it wakes itself up. So these souls will possibly be going into that zombie, dog eat dog, maybe having to, eat human flesh. It's already happening. There's already evidence in many McDonald's stores in the US where they found human cells in the meat. So these are not random things that I'm saying. There's already proof of these timelines playing themselves out. And so timelines are all crisscrossing over each other concurrently. People say, well, is it this timeline or is it that timeline? Generally, you see two distinct timelines, but within that, because there's so many beings here that are creating reality via their thought forms and their frequency and their emotions and their energy and what they say, we're all got the spell here of abracadabra. We can all command reality. Some of us know that how to do it consciously, and others are doing it subconsciously, but we're all still doing it. So they're participating in that timeline because they're full of fear, and that's what they've been told is going to happen. We might, have to have cockroach milk, and there'll be food shortages. And you wonder, with the Kabbalah, they're just sitting back laughing it up, like this is their Hunger Games. So we must say absolutely no to any of their dastardly agendas. It's just, to me, it's laughable. I just laugh at them. It's like, I'm not participating in that. No way, no how, not happening, not on my watch. Get thee behind me, Satan. Not interested. So for the souls, though, that don't exercise their free will in a way that is aligned to sovereignty, yeah, they could just get dragged into that particular vortex. So is the two-world split real? It seems like it absolutely is real. It seems like that's what's going to happen. Look at the mystics who have been bringing through the information for quite a long time. Dolores Cannon is a great one to go and listen to. And, there will be this splitting. One will be another galactic cycle in the third dimension for souls that need those particular lessons and frequencies and inner standings, and then others will be going into a fifth dimensional frequency bandwidth, the sphere of Jupiter, perhaps. That comes from the teachings of Rudolf Steiner. And, just saying the name Jupiter makes you feel so wonderful, and that's full of joy and luck and benevolence and kindness, and because you've done the work, and so you're a frequency match to that. So it's not that anything's happening to you. You are always happening to life. Remember that. It's not happening to you. You are happening to life. It's your state of awareness, your frequency, how much love quotient that you're, embodying and emitting, and whether you are serving the collective whether you are serving the collective, because if you're not service to others, you're service to self, and that's that dark road. So a little bit of clarification, or maybe I've confused you more, but yeah, really interesting topics. So sending everyone much love. Choose the ascension pathway. Bye, everyone.